What's up folks, how's it going? This is Woj. Hope you guys are all doing well, and today we're going to be taking a look at this Omen 30L pre-built desktop PC. Now, over the past few years, I've had the opportunity to test out most of the Omen laptops and desktops that HP has been developing specifically for the gaming community. Now, early on, the design of HP Omen was really kind of bold. I remember their Omen X giant cube tower case, which was cool to look at, but kind of cumbersome to use every day. With the later PC tower cases, they kind of scaled back the design, although it still looked kind of dated and kind of early 2000s in terms of their PC tower design. But inside, HP always delivered excellent hardware performance, and from a price perspective, they were always super competitive with their pre-built systems, and with a lot of their sales, you could actually get a pre-built tower for less than a custom-built PC with a licensed Windows operating system. Now, the new generation of Omen Tower, the 25 and 30L desktop that we have over here, are definitely a lot more understated in terms of their design. They're sleeker, more neutral in terms of the overall design philosophy, which is definitely the right direction to go in my opinion. And with the Cooler Master partnership for the chassis and cooling design, they definitely hit the nail on the head in terms of the look of the PC. You have a sleek looking front glass panel as well as a full view tempered glass side panel so you can see all your internal components. Now, with the multi-zone RGB lighting options available on the Omen software that comes with this PC, you can completely customize the overall illumination and overall look of the PC in order to match a particular type of theme that you're going for your gaming setup, or just to turn off the RGB lighting altogether if you so desire. Now, the overall look, build quality, fit and finish of the tower is actually quite exceptional. Everything is done in this nice matte black finish. From the micro ATX motherboards, cables, graphics cards, power supply, everything matches and everything looks completely factory and OEM as you would expect. The cable management is also not too bad for a pre-built system. Now, in terms of cooling and thermal dynamics, you have a single 120mm intake fan at the front, which is sucking cold air through the side vents since the front panel is made out of glass and not going to allow any air through. Once the air enters the chassis, it's going to get exhausted by a single 80mm fan at the back. The CPU is being cooled by a heatsink and 80mm fan combination, similar to what you would find on a stock AMD or Intel cooler, and it's perfectly fine for stock frequency settings. If you're going to do a little bit overclocking, you probably want to upgrade the cooler appropriately. Beyond that, in terms of inputs and outputs, at the top of the case, you have the front panel connections, which are two USB 3.0 connections and a headphone microphone jack, as well as your power button. Pretty simple stuff. At the back, for this particular version, we have four USB 3.0 A connections, as well as a single type A Thunderbolt / 10 gigabit USB 3.0 connections, as well as a USB type C connection. There's a gigabit Ethernet connection, and inside there's a Realtek Wi-Fi 5 2x2 networking adapter that also has support for connecting to Bluetooth 5 devices. Of course, some of these parameters can be changed and upgraded via the configurator on the HP website, so you can actually upgrade to Intel Wi-Fi 6 2x2 adapter that'll get you faster Wi-Fi speeds, as well as obviously change the graphics card, RAM, storage, and CPU configuration. Now, when you get the tower, you also get supplied a black HP keyboard and mouse combination. Very simple optical mouse and chiclet keyboard design, basically a courtesy accessory item if you don't have a keyboard and mouse to begin with. Not something that you would use probably with this machine on a long-term basis. Now, let's talk about the specs on our specific build that we have over here. Now, we're using the Ryzen 7 3700X CPU. That's an 8-core chip with 16 threads. We have 16 gigabytes of HyperX DDR4 memory clocked at 3200 megahertz. This configuration is really mid-tier for the 30L, but you can go as high as an Intel i9 10-core CPU with 64 gigabytes of RAM if your budget allows for it. In terms of storage, we have a WD 512 gigabyte NVMe M.2 drive from Western Digital. Obviously, this can be configured to be more or less, and you can also insert two mechanical hard drives as well as some other drives if you so desire. For the GPU, we're using the NVIDIA RTX 2070 Super. There's also more budget-friendly options with the AMD RX 5700 XT as well as the 2060 Super, and if you want a little bit more, you can go with the 2080 Super or the RTX 2080 Ti. Now, lastly, the power supply with this unit is rated at 500 watts. It's 80 plus efficiency. You can obviously get a larger capacity if your system requires to do so. Now, the price range of the 30L can range anywhere between just around $1,000 to well over $4,000, depending upon your configuration. For the setup that we have right now, since we can't actually select the 2070 Super because it's sold out, for the 30L, you're either going to have to go with the 2060 Super or the 2080 Super. The price with this exact spec with the 2060 Super, which is going to give you a little bit less graphical performance than the 2070, as you would expect, is just under $1,400, and you're looking about $1,750 with the higher performing 2080 Super graphics card. Now, whichever config you choose, both are super competitively priced, considering you're getting a full licensed Windows operating system with a full year warranty, an excellent fit and finish, and pretty much a hassle-free PC gaming experience that's plug and play. Now, let's talk about the performance capabilities of this particular PC. We'll start with the CPU benchmark results. Now, at stock frequencies, pretty much straight out of the box on Cinebench R20, we're getting around 4,800 points. On Geekbench, the single core performance is rated around 1,200 points, and the multi-core performance around 8,400 points. Now, more importantly, for the gaming performance, 3D Mark, Port Royal synthetic benchmark results, we're getting around 5,721 points, and this is specifically for the ray tracing capabilities of the RTX 2070 Super. If you're interested in the Time Spy performance, we're getting around 9,300 points roughly, and we're also taking a look at Unigen's Superposition Extreme 1080p synthetic benchmark results, which we're getting around 44 average frames per second, and on the 4K optimized version of that same benchmark, we're getting around 58 average frames per second. Generally speaking, the 2080 Super is just a good general all-around card, and certainly for quad HD gaming, it's perfectly reasonable. You can still game with it at 4K resolutions, but you probably want to bump down your detail and texture settings a little bit more. With the 2080 Super and the 2080 Ti, you won't have any of those problems if you're going to be gaming quite frequently in 4K or want better future proofing or a better VR performance as well. Now, in terms of the SSD performance, the WD NVMe drive is very good. You're getting over 2.2 sequential read speeds and about 2.7 in terms of write performance, which is right up there with what you would find with a decent performing NVMe SSD drive. So that being said, this is a great overall pre-built system. Out of the box, looks great, very minimalistic in terms of the design. You're not going to find a lot of complaints about the way that this thing looks and functions, and the internal performance is there. And from a price perspective, it's super competitively priced. Based on our experience, you could probably build a custom PC sourcing different deals and even used parts for probably cheaper than this, but this is a great turnkey solution for pretty much anybody out there that's on a little bit of a budget but wants to get awesome gaming performance with a sleek, minimalistic, and kind of timeless PC tower design. But besides that, guys, that's really it. Thank you so much for watching and your continuing support. Please give us a thumbs up if you like this video. Big thanks to HP and Omen for making this content possible in the first place. And if you haven't done so, please subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you next time. Take care.